My name is Kay. I'm a compulsive overeater, and abstinence is the most important thing in my life today. And I weigh and measure 3 meals off the gray sheet, write them down, call them into my sponsor, and don't eat in between, no matter what. And through God's grace, I've been able to do that since May the 30th, 1981. And that means that today is my 35th anniversary of abstinence.
Yay!
I like to talk using a theme, and I decided to use the theme of the 2016 Malibu retreat, which I went to and I enjoyed it a lot. The theme was surrender to win. It reminded me of my journey with food. You know, I tried to exert my will over food all my life. I had lost 50 pounds, and then 60 pounds, and then 40 pounds, and then 40 pounds, and then 40 pounds, over and over again. It took me 40 years to come to step one. I had to surrender my belief that I could lose weight and keep it off in order to win this wonderful solution. I had to surrender my mental obsession with food and diets. You know, this program is the only thing that I've ever done that has removed that mental obsession where I was constantly thinking about food, thinking about what I would eat, what I wouldn't eat, how I would eat it, how I wouldn't eat it, how I would hide it, and all of these things. And I had to surrender all the ways that I tried to control my weight. Calorie counting was the biggest one, the one I used the most often, the one where you could say, repeating the same thing over and over again, which is the definition of insanity. Weight Watchers, reading the Bible before meals, having the bite counter, which is kind of an anniversary thing for me. I want to describe the bite counter. So it was a little machine about the size of a cell phone. And whenever you take a bite, you push the button and a little light starts blinking. And you're not supposed to take another bite until the light goes off. Then you push the button, take the bite, so forth and so on. And this is supposed to slow down your eating so that you can hear your appestat. And I do remember when I heard my appestat, or thought I did, and I said to it, "Shut up." And I got up and got some more food. At the Malibu retreat, I was telling this story to somebody, and she said, "Oh, I had one of those." I had never met anybody before who had a bite counter. I read the Bible before every meal. I took bran with my food, thinking it would go through fast and not stick on me. I had to reach a point of absolute desperation. Another thing I like to do on my anniversary is read the letter that I wrote at the marriage encounter weekend my husband and I helped to give in April 1981. During the course of that weekend, we wrote letters and shared with one another in answer to the question, how do I think people see me, and what are my deepest feelings about this? I wrote, I feel that people see me as overweight, and many wonder why I'm not trying to lose, why I don't go back to Weight Watchers or find a diet to suit me and get the ugly weight off. I feel they wonder what good I think the walking is going to do if I don't also try to lose weight by eating less. I think they say, it's too bad. I could look so much better, and they pity me. I'm afraid the girls are ashamed of me, and scared of looking like me someday. I think Joe accepts me and loves me and wants me to lose it, only if I want to. He's willing for me to be fat if that's what I want. He won't reject me, though he fears for my health, and he pushes back any wishes he might have for a slender wife. My deepest feelings right now are about my weight. I have lots of fears about it. I fear becoming fatter. I fear lack of control. I fear over-control. I fear being taken over totally by concern for food and diet. I wish I never had to think about it. I wish I could lose weight effortlessly and never have to think about it again. I know I'm on the right track by walking. I know I should eat slowly. I know I should stop when I am satisfied. I know I should eat only when hungry. I know I should avoid junk and refined food. I feel helpless to do any of this except the walking. I feel the need to pray and turn it completely over to the Lord. I beg of you, Lord, to decrease my desire for food, to regulate my appetite. I want to find the last diet, so to speak, which is a way of life. I don't want any temporary measures. I don't want to lose and then gain it again. I am in your hands. I cannot seem to help myself. Please help me, Lord. On May the 29th, 1981, I walked across the street to my neighbor's house where my little girl was playing. She had a friend there, a very slender, attractive woman. Of course, I had to bring up the subject of overweight. I said, "You've never had a problem with weight, have you?" She said, "Have you ever heard of Overeaters Anonymous?" I had not. She proceeded to explain the gray sheet to me. I had my first day of gray sheet abstinence on May the 30th, 1981. By God's grace, I have been abstinent since that day. So once I surrendered in the area of food, I became clear enough to realize that surrender is needed in all areas of life. My abstinence, my sponsor, my sponsees, my meetings, my community, my working the steps, all supported me as I have been led to surrender over and over in my life. And I listed some of these. The list grew too long. During 5 years of hell, when our two girls were rebelling in every possible way, and I was abstinent. Going to the treatment center for Family Week, I was abstinent. Going to visit when one of them was in the treatment center and the other one was in a psychiatric hospital because she had threatened to commit suicide, I was abstinent. When I broke my femur in 1999, and people from this program were so wonderful, came and brought food to me when I couldn't even stand up, weighed and measured gray sheet food for me. In 2000, when my wonderful father died, he died on a Friday, and I came to the Saturday meeting the next morning. Drove from San Antonio, and the first place I went was to the meeting to be with the people in the program. When I had breast cancer in 2003, when my mother died after 2 years of dementia, I had more trouble with the dementia than I had with her dying. It was a terrible fight between me and God. What good is the dementia doing my mother was the fight I had with God. And the answer I was finally given was, you don't have to understand. And that has remained with me. That has served me very well. I got breast cancer for a second time in 2008 while my wonderful husband was having brain cancer. And he had brain cancer for 2.5 years. We went to MD Anderson every 2 weeks for treatment for 11 months. And during all that time, people in this program brought weighed and measured meals for me to take to Houston with me. In 2012, my wonderful sister died. In 2014, my brother Tony died. In 2015, my brother Eddie died. I am the oldest of 5 siblings, and I am the only one still alive. I really think that my abstinence is the key to why I was able to live longer than my brothers and sister. But you know, surrender is not always about death. Since 2012, a lot of my life has been about helping to care for Shiloh, my 10-year-old granddaughter. I'm co-parenting. I'm doing more than just keeping her every now and then. I take care of her almost every day. And all night on Wednesday and all day and night on Saturday. I have had to surrender a lot in learning to care for this child. I had to surrender my way of parenting, which I believe wasn't the best way. That authoritarian way, you will do it because I said so. Yeah, that's out. My idea of how to discipline. I've had to surrender my time and my energy. And I have won a relationship with a beautiful little girl. It's really such a gift. You know, when I think of so many grandparents who don't have that gift of spending so much time with their grandchildren, I see it as a gift of abstinence. I would never have the energy or the focus to be with Shiloh if I were in the food. I remember one of the talks at the Malibu retreat. It was very inspiring. The person who was speaking said that I believe she said that she weighed over 300 pounds, and all she could basically do with her grandchild was watch movies on TV, on the DVDs. And so her little 2-year-old grandson figured that out, and when she'd ask him what he wanted to do, he would say, "Watch The Wizard of Oz." And she said they watched The Wizard of Oz together hundreds and hundreds of times. And she based her talk on The Wizard of Oz. You know, the disease of compulsive overeating was the Wicked Witch. And, I can't remember all the details, but it was very well done and very entertaining and really caught your attention. I do believe that compulsive overeating as a disease is like the Wicked Witch. And I believe that with this theme that I've chosen, surrender to win, all of life is a journey of surrender. And the outcome is winning. And so many people can't seem to get the idea that what we do with our food is a good thing. So many people see it as, oh, you can't have this, you can't have that, you have to do this, you have to do that. Oh, I could never do that. And to me, it doesn't feel that way at all. It feels like freedom. It feels like freedom not to have to choose from so many of those foods that were a binge food for me. You know, I tried that. I tried having measured portions of what we call X foods. Well, you know, it never worked. And the amount that you are allowed to have when you're having these measured portions, I would just laugh at. You know, I went to a talk on diabetes with my husband, and they were showing you the kind of portions that you should have on the diabetic diet. Well, I was inside, you know, my head. I was just laughing. I would never be satisfied with the amount that you were allowed to have on that. And here with my program, I am so well satisfied. I think our food is abundant and healthy and beautiful. And it is such a gift to me. I see people at the gym, which I do go to the gym almost every day. I see people at the gym with, you know, at my age, at 75, who can barely walk, who can only do the swimming exercises because they can't walk well because of overweight. And I know that that would be me because that's my family history and that's where I was heading. So I believe that this surrender that I have begun is going to be carried on to the end of life. And that is the attitude that I take with my higher power, that I surrender. I don't know what is best. I cannot tell you how to live your life. I don't know what you should do. All of these attitudes are a big change from what I once had. I believe that God didn't answer my prayer when I prayed so much for Him to make me thin, because He knew that I needed this program, that I needed this solution, and I'm very grateful for it.